Hello, this is mainly, we're going to make this for the missions team that's coming. I'm going to put it on YouTube for you guys to watch it. But as we're getting ready for this, you're going to be here in about 2 weeks. Just wanted to give you some ideas about what to expect and challenge you on a few things and kind of get you ready for what you're going to experience here in Zambia. Zambia is not Europe. Zambia is not the United States. Zambia is not Russia or Ukraine or Eastern Europe. Zambia is a place where people are open to the gospel. It is one of the only places, it's a unique opportunity, it's one of the only places in the world where you can walk up to somebody in English, although they have a Zambian accent that's going to take you some time to get used to, but in English, and you can present the gospel. You can literally, I walked into a barber shop and sat down here yesterday and handed everybody a tract and asked everybody, hey, do you know what it takes to be right with God and 100% sure you're going to go to heaven when you die? And immediately got into a gospel conversation with a young man named Peter. And when I had gotten done, he told me he'd never heard the gospel before in his entire life. He'd gone to church his whole life, but he had never heard the gospel. And so when we're going out, what we have found that is effective, what is effective? And I'm assuming that you want to be effective. What we have found that is effective is one-on-one individual soul winning. Now, I want to just stop right here and I want to ask you a question. Are crutches better than legs? Are crutches better than legs? If you had a child, would you immediately start to teach the child to walk with crutches? Or would you say, no, that's a terrible idea. Why would we do that? The kid needs to learn to walk. I mean, in an event where a person doesn't have legs that function, maybe some disease or some issue, then yeah, you're going to have crutches. You break your leg, you break your ankle, yes, you're going to need crutches, but crutches are not superior to legs. Legs are better because that's how God made it. And he said unto them, Mark 16:15, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. God did not say, go hand out invitations. God did not say, go start a radio station. God did not say, go hand out gospel tracts. God did not say, have evangelistic crusades. Now, there is nothing wrong with those things, but might I submit to you that those things are crutches. Those things are things that we do. We have a brand new believer who just got saved last week. I'm going to take that back because what I was going to say is you can't really expect a brand new believer to go preach the gospel, but the reality is you can. And the reality is we have teenagers here that do. And so the idea that we cannot go preach the gospel is ridiculous. And it really does missions a disservice. Missions is one saved sinner telling this other lost sinner how to be saved. Now, I understand, and I'm not opposed to any of those things that I've mentioned. I don't want you to hear me wrong. If I was a missionary in Poland, I might say, hey, it'd be a good idea to set up a radio station in Poland and to broadcast the gospel over into Ukraine in the Ukrainian language and in the Russian language so that some of these soldiers that are fighting could hear the gospel. Because you know what? I'm not going to go over there. I mean, if God called me to, maybe I would. It'd probably be kind of exciting to do that. But that's maybe not a good idea right now. And maybe it's not even possible. Maybe there would be military blockades that would physically stop us from going into the front line where these people are that need the gospel. So we would have to use a crutch. We would have to use something less ideal. Rather than personally going and sitting in the trench and giving them the gospel, we would beam it over from a radio station. And that would be a good thing. That would be a fantastic thing. But we're not like that in Zambia. You know, when the disciples went out, they went out everywhere. When they were scattered in the book of Acts, they went out everywhere and they all went preaching the gospel. And so I really want to challenge you with this idea that you're coming to one of the only places in the world, where you can literally walk out to people and tell them of Christ and they will listen. And you can come and just hand out tracts and tell people there's a church service, and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to be upset if that's what you do. But wouldn't it be a tragedy if you didn't take the time to personally engage? Now, I'm going to say something else. Somebody might say, and this is an argument, and we are free to disagree on this. Somebody might say, well, but I can hand out 5,000 tracts, and I can only talk to 200 people. So wouldn't it be better to hand out 5,000 tracts And some would say yes. I would say no. And why would you say no, Brother Ray? Why would you say that? Because we are in a relationship-based culture here. Africa, the Middle East, some of these Eastern thinking cultures, they're relationship-based. And really, I think we're more relationship-based even in the United States than what we would like to admit. In other words, people don't, there's the saying in the United States, people don't know, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's true in the United States. So I think going up and handing somebody an invitation to my church service so that you could convert to my religion sounds a little bit mercenary in a lot of ways. We don't really care about you unless you're one of the ones that come. Anyway, it's so there's a little bit of a offensiveness to that. Take time and talk to people. Take time and ask them about their lives. Take time and slow down and find out what their name is. And then they're going to ask you, why are you here? And when you hand them a tract, they're going to ask you, what is this? And at that point, you're going to need to be able to explain salvation. I'm going to make another video in just a minute on how to do that, because we've got some things here that I think that will work and that will help you. But I just wanted to challenge you with that. You'll have that opportunity. And Zambia is a unique place. And probably more than what you're going to do when you're here, what's really going to happen and how the kingdom of God is going to be influenced is going to be how here affects you. And you're really not here long enough to do much. And even in a month or 2 months, can you imagine if you had a pastor and he came in and he was there for 2 weeks and then he left? And then in 5 years he came back for another 2 weeks. That's not going to really impact anybody's life. We have to be realistic about what we can do and realistic about what we would expect to be done. This is a very, very highly churched culture, and it is a very, very corrupt churched culture. So you will be. I would be shocked if the entire time you're here you guys find 10 saved people. Whether they go to church or not, I would be totally shocked if you found 10 saved people. It's that bad. I mean, we've got people that have gone to church their whole life. They've never heard the gospel. And so the need is, and here's the thing, the need is not to give them a gospel tract. Because you can read the gospel tract and say, yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to make another video about this in a minute, but I'm going to stop here. And the upshot of this video is I want you to be challenged to engage in personal soul winning and personal evangelism when you're here. I'm going to send you some verses. I'm going to send you some another video on how to do that. But in this video, that's kind of the point I wanted to make. God bless you, and we look forward to seeing you.